Hi everyone, welcome back to Aidans Railways. This is a new style of video today in relation to what we're going to be doing or what I'm going to be doing. Normally I'll give you a review or that sort of thing. I might even talk on the fly about any of the comments we've had this week and that sort of thing as well. We've had lots of them, but this is a little different. This is actually this is a project I've had going on for a while, and at the same time it's also in relation to some of the comments that I've had about servicing and strip down of the Class 43 HST, the old Hornby one. But this isn't the HST one. I am going to do that, but that's going to take a little bit longer because I want to make sure I've got that many spares. I want to be able to do a very thorough video, but condense it, so I might bring it in separate episodes. This is more to do, if you hadn't noticed from the image and the thumbnail, this is more to do with Hornby's Flying Scotsman or A1, A3 models. In this case, more specifically, your old Ringfield ones, tender drive. And if you looked at the thumbnail, you'll have looked and gone, well, there's some interesting things have happened there. The majority of the video isn't going to be me on screen. It will be my hands and things like that, because this is more of a what to do with ones that have, you know, they've had something done to them and we want to try and change them. One of the aspects of this is the fact that I always say, you know, I get things at a bargain price. Well, I get things at a price that I'm willing to pay. I'm not going to pay any more than what I would willingly pay. I'm very careful about that, and I wouldn't, you know what I mean? But at the same time, when I see things that I believe may have be some use later in a later date, I will pick them up. Prime example, Aidan, for instance, young Aidan, that is, likes the Thomason series stuff that Hornby did and the Bachmann stuff and things like that. And when I see things like these shells, I'm going to pick them up. And I can tell you now, I only paid about £1.50 for that. But as you probably already know, if you've been on eBay and things, people are selling those shells for ridiculous amounts of money. And I don't know where they get these prices from and how they believe that they're worth that much money, because they're not. Something that you need to understand is these things were mass produced. There will be a shortage of them because collectors are buying them up, but that's not worth a fortune. So I keep them because if anything happens to, for instance, his Hornby Gordon, I know I've got spares. Now, similarly, I do the same thing in relation to other model locomotives. In this case, this isn't a Flying Scotsman, but it is an A1, A3 body shell off a Ringfield tender drive loco. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with this either. And this is going to come in handy soon. Similarly, this smoke box door, which is off one of them as well. What I'm going to do here is, there's a loco. I'm going to go down to the green mat in a minute, and I'm going to literally do the work. There's a Flying Scotsman here, which has been modified at some point with, from what I can tell, it is a Gordon face that's been painted and fitted onto the smoke box. Now, if you know anything about the Hornby Flying Scotsman or Jock or whatever you want to, you know, call it, that they produced, they are few and far between. They go for silly money. The print on the tender is for the way they've done it for the Thomas and Friends type thing, so it's incorrect to what the actual Flying Scotsman had and things like that, right? Now, I'm going to rescue this model that's got the silly face on and potentially utilise it for something else. This is nothing wrong with that model, if you know what I mean. The loco drive and the tender works perfectly fine, and we've got a perfectly good rolling chassis at the front. So I'm going to rescue that, and then what I'm going to do, or I'm going to try to do, and I'm going to try and do a pretty good job of it if I can, is actually make a better Flying Scotsman Thomas and Friends example, but with the smoke deflectors, with an actual Flying Scotsman face. I'm even gonna make the water tender as well, and I've bought the parts. The parts that they used for the second tender that Hornby have used for your Flying Scotsman with 2 tenders, your Bitten with 2 tenders, all of that. You can get those parts, and you'll see them in a minute. You can get those parts. What I'm actually going to do is use 2 old Hornby Railways tenders to do it, but with the parts that I've purchased. So this is what this video is about. We're going to rescue a locomotive that's been... So you never look at something and think, that's too far gone, it's a waste of money, I'm not buying that. I can tell you now, I didn't pay 20 quid for that Flying Scotsman with the face on. So if I can rescue it with a body shell that I picked up for £1 at a collector's fair, then I've got a locomotive that's cost me £21. Right? Just I had to use a screwdriver to do something with it. So don't disregard these things when you see them. All of these things can be rescued, and you don't have to know everything to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate rescuing that, and then building this Flying Scotsman for Aidan. So we'll move on to the mat and we'll try and get things going. Back in a second. Hi there, welcome back. So I'm down here on the green mat now, or rather I'm in front of the green mat. So I'm going to take you through what we've actually got here. So we've got this body shell, and this is for Royal Lancer. Now I'm sure I only paid about £1.50 for one of these, for this at a model railway show, or it was a model collector's fair. It was something like that. But I remember seeing it and thinking there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It was just in a box of bits. Just waved it at the person who had the stall. How much do you want for that? And I don't think they were interested in it at all, so got it at a steal. So we've got this. There's nothing wrong with it. It's in absolutely brilliant condition. You can see if we can get the focus in. You can see all of the bits and pieces there. Grub screws in place, the whole lot. Buffers are intact. The number is correct to the carb side. Safety valves are there, handrails are there, everything's there. So I'm just going to put that to one side. And then what we have here, wait, hold on, there's a smoke box door. So whether or not we use this or not, I don't know, but we have a smoke box door just in case anything goes wrong. Now, this is an incredibly old and aged packet, but what we have here is a Ringfield tender driven corridor tender, which is, to tell you the truth, is actually in really quite condition. The actual motor's in fabulous. I've tested this and it works absolutely fine. And what we have here is what would have been a standard Flying Scotsman. As you can see, rolling chassis and a rather scary face on the front. I wouldn't mind if it hadn't been so painted so horrifically. It might not actually have looked too bad the way it is, but anyway, that didn't cost very much money, so that we've got that as well. We have 2 Triang Hornby. Let's have a look. Or rather, this one is Hornby. This one is Triang Hornby. But they're both exactly the same mould. You will have seen these on most Triang locomotives, and even on the back of some of the Wren A4s and A1, A3s and things like that. But these will probably come into more use in part 2. But we've got them. We also have another Hornby Railways Flying Scotsman. Tender in great condition as well. Absolutely fabulous. And this locomotive in pretty much great condition. Really nice finish. Nothing wrong with it at all. Freewheeling chassis, rolling chassis at the front. Try and see. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And you think, why are you involving this into this video? All shall become clear over time. So I'm just going to try and make a bit more space on this bench so that we've got time to move around. Now, Also, we have, yeah, for those who don't know what this is a Tomy or Tomica or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what this one's calling itself. Or a Mattel Trackmaster Flying Scotsman. This is a fairly recent one. We actually do collect these as well in the house. I know some people will be screaming out on their videos or switching this episode off, but we actually collect these purely because they come in handy for bits. It sounds ridiculous, but they really do come in handy for bits, and in this case it's going to come in handy for this fella on the front. Yeah, there he is. That's a better picture, and he's looking at me as if to say, what have you got planned? So we've got one of them as well. Incidentally, I didn't buy this new to cannibalise or anything. This was a second-hand marketplace on Facebook buy. I think it cost a grand total of £2 or something like that. So we're not breaking the bank in all of this. Right. So very quickly, let's get on with this part. We're going to go back to this loco here. This is the offending one. So I'll just place that there. Right, okay then. With the potential for this to all go wrong whilst I'm filming, I'm still gonna we're gonna go ahead. So anyway, right, we've got our Flying Scotsman with the rather dodgy face on the front. These are very simple to take apart. There's just a screw here at the very front, and if we can undo that and try not to lose it, because we are going to need this again. And then should just lift straight off. I'm just going to get that screw out. There we go. Right. Put that somewhere safe. So what we got there, as you can all see, nice little rolling chassis, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Alright. That there's definitely something wrong with. Right. However, to instantly transform this locomotive and potentially make it into 4476 Royal Lancer, another racehorse, instantaneously without having to do any real work at all, we can just place this body straight onto this shell, and there you go. We've got another loco made up. That easy. For the time being, that is exactly what I'm going to do with this particular loco. The plan here is, now we've rescued what was potentially an eyesore of a locomotive. As you can see, that's it. There we go. We've got a corridor tender for it. We have another racehorse that could quite happily, if I just lie this here, put that together like that. We have another race course that will quite happily go on the layout with 4472, and we've got two totally different locomotives, or rather named and numbered locomotives, but both racehorses that could pull any express. So we've just rescued one locomotive straight away, but I'm not willing to end there. This is the bit where if I can do what I would like to do, and hopefully do a good job of it for Aidan, that's what I would like to do, and we're going to do it right now, and hopefully I'm not going to make a mess of this and it's going to come out wonderful. So let's start. Okay then, right, I've got some tools and things lying around, and I have got various sharp and dangerous implements. So as it said at the very beginning of this video, this is not intended for children, although you may argue with what I'm about to do. Ordinarily, and I know this because this is how I actually got this smoke box, not off here but off another model, ordinarily these will just push clean out of the front of these shells. Under closer inspection, and I don't think it's particularly visible on here, this has been glued into place. Now, other than the face, there is nothing wrong with this shell. So, if I can help it, I don't want to destroy it. So, I'm just going to see if I can. Yep, that has come off incredibly easily. Bye bye, horrible face. That would give my children nightmares if it was sat on a track in their bedroom staring at it. So, goodbye. There you go. You see that? Straight in there. Now, this is going to be one of the tricky bits. So we're going to push this shell out of the way, and I'm going to introduce you to this fella again. And he's not looking too impressed with what's coming, I don't think. I don't advise this if you've never done this before. I have actually done this to lots of other models, which I will introduce you to over the course of my videos. There you go, look at that, decent batteries in it as well. But we're going to get rid of that chassis out of the way, don't need it at the minute. I have used the face of many a Trackmaster toy to utilise onto models that I have custom made for Aiden. So always sibling Katie. Now, this being a fairly recent Trackmaster model, it seems to be sealed, I think is the only way of putting this. Ordinarily these things just fall apart, but by all accounts this thing is glued down in several locations. So I'm just going to see if this actually fits, if there's any gap. No. Right, let's have a look and see how, yeah. So, you can actually get that knife in there, but it's going to be a case of seeing just how far or how it's fixed. See, some of these are glued in place and some of them are screwed in place, and that looks to be really fairly solidly held in place. Now, I don't want to damage this face because we want to use it, so I'm going to have to try and see if I can get this green body to separate. So we've managed to get the smoke box here turned round, so at the moment somehow it's still fixed. There we go. I think we can see underneath there. So this face is going straight back inside this body here, and I have no idea how that is actually managing to hold itself in. But I think if I can cut that grey bit there out and across, we should be able to get the face off. Right, plan B came into effect. Basically, I have got the face off, but plan B came into effect, which was this was never going to come off easily or willingly. So when I managed to turn that around, I simply cut straight through there from this side, removed it, and then cut the face off. So at any point I can stick this back on, and if we want to, we can put Scary Face back on the front of this one. I wouldn't recommend it because it does look very scary. Now, I'm going to put them out of the way so we don't have to think about them. That's the shell which had Scary Face on. Now, at some point, the vernier gauge was going to have to come out. This smoke box is about 20... Let's have a look. 24.5 to 25 millimeters in diameter, and I can tell you that this is most definitely bigger. This is 26. So if I put that on there, it's going to be bigger than the face, and I don't really want to be rubbing that down because it's going to destroy it. So I have to come up with some sort of plan as to how I'm going to get that face to fit on there. I really don't know how that is going to work. It's quite scary to think about, really. It really is. So, we have scary face, Scotsman face, Gordon face. If I place Gordon face on the front here, he should actually fit, because he comes off an A1 A3 shell. Well, there's always the possibility of putting a Scotsman face on, a Gordon face on to the Scotsman. But let's take a look at that in a minute. So this face is hugely different in size, as you can see, massively different in size. And there, obviously Scotsman might have a bigger head than Gordon, which is hard to believe because Gordon is quite big-headed. What's the plan next? We've got the face off. It's smoke deflector time, I think. Right. So I've moved on a little bit because this video will go on forever. So we got this really good face as far as I'm concerned for Flying Scotsman. Far better than me trying to use the face that was on the spare Gordon shell. And we're certainly not going to use Scary Face. It's like something off Punch and Judy, him. Right. So it was obvious that the actual aperture here is smaller than this face. Now, if I could get it to sit properly on the front of this shell, it would be, we're talking about just over 1 millimetre too much at either side. Now, what I've actually had to do, I don't know if you can see that, you see here, that area there is a place where the grub screw is underneath that holds the rolling chassis on. And that is normally covered up if I use this one to demonstrate. There we are, you can see it there, it's normally covered up, big piece of plastic there. What I have in actual fact done is just took this knife and carefully cut in there to remove it, which suddenly gives me a good 2 millimeters or so extra clearance for this face. Now, the face is ever so slightly larger, but at the sides that is not going to be noticeable, and at the top it's not looking too bad. Now, before everyone starts jumping in, this is a custom and I'm using bits that are spare to do this. I've bought a couple of other pieces, so I am fully aware, before we go any further, remember this is for young Aidan and for anyone else who wants to put their hands to this, I am fully aware that that is the incorrect dome for what I am about to do next, and that is the incorrect chimney. I do not need correcting on this, but for what I am about to do for Aidan, it is not going to make any difference at all. Aesthetically, to someone who knows, yes, fair enough. To somebody who wants a custom Flying Scotsman, this isn't going to make a difference. Now, next. From time to time when I do my videos, I will mention an online shop called Peter's Spares. And on Peter's Spares you can pretty much get almost everything in the way of spares for Hornby. And what we have here, if anyone owns a National Railway Museum Flying Scotsman from Hornby, are smoke deflectors. Now, I need to fit these onto this loco. This will also, when fitted, hide any gap there is, any oversizing of the face. But as you probably be able to tell, these have, there we go, you can see there, you have little nodules that would go into the body to locate it. Now, obviously this body was never designed to have these. So you could go down a rather cheap avenue, which is what you could do is you could cut those little nodules off and just stick it on, which is fair enough. They probably fall off regular. On the other hand, what you could actually do is drill those holes into this body and then glue it in place so that it's right. That's the road I'm going to go down, and it's the road that could go horribly wrong. But I will put a couple of pictures up on the screen as I'm doing this. I have researched it. I found a shell online for the Flying Scotsman with double blast pipe chimney or Scalextric chimney and smoke deflectors. Just a body shell. It was in Brunswick green though, but it had close-up photos of here, the smoke box and the smoke deflectors. And it actually helped me determine exactly where it needs to go. Because those top nodules actually rest up against the handrail. That is exactly how high they will go. Right? And the same on the other side. So I know the height. I just don't know where they go along here. So I need a point of reference. Now this is where having some of my static models comes in handy. Yes, so a point of reference. This is one of those static models I have. It's not amazing, but it's okay. But unlike this, it has got a number of things that would be correct if I was using this. We have banjo dome, there's the difference, and we have double blast pipe Scalextric chimney there. But this also has the smoke deflectors. So using this here as a guide, I'm going to be a little anal about this, and I'm actually going to use the vernier gauge to establish exactly where the back of it needs to be in relation to the end of the smoke box, and it would appear 4.5 milli from the back there. So 4.5 mil, and we're going to have a Flying Scotsman with the face. So I'm going to put this back. Right, so we've got smoke deflectors, we've got a face, and now I need to mark out exactly where I want these holes to be on this locomotive. So what I'm going to do is something that I'm sure lots of other people have done in the past when trying to mark things out, and it's just very simply use a bit of spare paint. So there we go. I have a tin of various Humbrol acrylics and enamels and things like that, and I'm just going to find a grey or something like that, just something very simple that isn't going to cause any problems. There we go. There's an RC422. That might be intercity grey or roof grey. I'm not entirely sure. It's not going to make a huge difference though. So what I'm going to do is I'll shake it up a bit. What I'm going to do is just open it up a bit. I don't want to get it all over this loco, and I'm very simply going to put a dab on each one of the little nodules there, and then when I get it into place, I'm just going to tap it down and I'm going to know where to drill then. That's as simple as it's going to be. I don't want to do anything else. I just want to keep it nice and simple. But what I also want to do while I'm here is work out. So actually 4.5 mil is in line 4.5mm there is in line with that little nodule there on the handrail. So I know that the back of that smoke deflector needs to be in line. You can just see there with that, and that's going to make it right. It's going to make it right for this model, because it's not going to be prototypical because we've got the wrong chimney and the wrong dome, but it is certainly going to be right for what we're doing here. So got those bits, don't want to get stuff all over that, so I'm just going to get an old brush, nothing huge, and make sure I've got this the right way round for starters. Bit of paint there on top of those nodules. I'm gonna hold it along. I know it can rest. There we go. Put it like that. Take it off. I have got 4 marks there now, exactly where I want them. It doesn't matter if that's got that on there. Now, because I've used acrylic, that'll dry quite quickly. Just before we go any further, always check you've got the 0. I'm going to measure the diameter of these nodules. 1.6, 1.55, 1.53. So I'm going to go for 1.5, I should say, for the drill bit, for putting the holes in. So that's going to be reasonably dry now, for the time being anyway. So turn that over. See them again. Bit of paint on all 4 of those nodules. As you can see, 4 dots again. Right. This might happen better than I thought. So, I've been out today because I haven't had one of these for a long time. I don't know where I put down the old one, but I went and got a set of 4 I should say, pin vices. And I did actually buy some incredibly fine Rolson micro drills. So I want the 1.5. There we go. There we go. So pin vicing, I should say. So this job now is going to be to drill these holes so carefully, and I'm just going to slowly back and forth, because I really don't want to ruin this now, because we're effectively at the moment we are rescuing, or rather I am rescuing, a shell that, as we saw at the beginning, had a truly awful face stuck to it. I'm so glad it came off as easily as it did. So there we go. There's the first hole. Time to do the next one. Okay everyone, so I don't know if you can see there, I have drilled the 4 holes on both sides, but anyway, I actually did end up widening the hole by 0.10 of a millimeter, just to give it a bit more play while I'm doing it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to secure the smoke deflectors here. I'm going to fit them on, I'm going to glue them into place. So if I just push one here now in, just to show you, no trickery, that they do in actual fact fit perfectly, and you can see those grey dots are actually the nodules from the smoke deflector poking straight through. So no trickery of any sort. That is most definitely the old shell. So I'm going to fit these on, glue them into place, and then I'll come back. Right, so on closer inspection I've decided what to do is not to glue it and put it on. As you can see here, the nodules are actually poking through, so all I'm going to do is just a little bit of glue there and there. I've literally just placed a bit of super glue on each one of those nodules. I'm just going to let it set. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to do the same with the other side now, and then let it set, and then I'm going to come back and then we can address the face. So back soon. Okay everyone, so there we go. Flying Scotsman body has now got 2 smoke deflectors, or German style smoke deflectors, fitted to its body now. It wasn't a hard job, as you saw. I marked out where they needed to go. It doesn't look right when you look at it like that because there's no smoke box door. If I really wanted to, I could drop that smoke box door in, but I don't, because this shell is going to be made for Aiden. Now I have the decision, and you can see how dirty my fingers have got from this process. If I just drop that in, now if you remember rightly, I had to cut out a little bit at the bottom. That's starting to look a bit more, I mean, he looks a bit concerned, but that's starting to look a bit more like a locomotive that you might see on the TV now. But if I bring the body round, you can see that the face is ever so slightly oversized, but the smoke deflectors hide an awful lot of this when you side view and front on and things like that. So it's not, by any means, this is not a professional remake or anything like that, but I have to make the decision. Do I fix this face with super glue, or do I go for a more safer option with liquid poly? I think I might go with the liquid poly, to be honest, because it will tack it in place, but I think if I ever need to remove it, I'll be able to do it quite easily. So join me in a second when I will have fixed the Flying Scotsman's face into position, and yeah, let's see how we get on with that. So while I'm letting that dry, let's have a little bit of fun. And this is what Gordon could have looked like on the Northwestern Railway with an ordinary smoke box door. You could get away with using that, I don't know. Now, I haven't done a video yet on this, but I will do soon. When I go through these train set reviews and things like that, and some of the models, you'll often see brake vacuum pipes as extras and a loco crew. Well, there's some of the brake vacuum pipes, and I've just painted up the upright pole. Zoom one in. There we go, in red. I've just done that on all three of them. And this, the loco crew that you normally see in black, I have painted up. It's a very easy job. It's an incredibly easy job. And you don't have to be that precise when you're doing it. So I'll do a little 10-minute video or something one day on doing them. But for the time being, what I actually want to do is fit the brake pipes to the front of this locomotive, our new and improved custom flying Scotsman. So all I'm going to do is put a little bit of poly cement on that vacuum pipe on the tip, and I'm just going to place it in there. I figure if we're going to go to the expense of putting smoke deflectors and this face on to rescue a rather badly modified shell before, we might as well put on some brake vacuum pipes. Let's have a look at that. Does that look better? It certainly looks better to me. I'm going to put these pipes on the other shells, and then in the back here there is a lot of detail. I am not going to paint that detail up on this one, but what I am going to do is I am going to put a crew inside. So as you can see there, we have the area to put them in. Just going to wipe your finger across there. Right. Yet again, a bit more poly cement. So I'm just going to adjust him till I'm happy. I think he looks all right there at the moment. So just let him dry off, and in the meantime, I'm just going to put some poly cement on the base of our fireman. Now, the fireman can usually be a bit tricky, which is why I have these snips here. I don't know if you can see these two now, but they're there. He's got his shovel. It's literally going into the firebox. You might be looking at that back foot and going, but he's going to fall out. Well, truth be known, once you've got the tender in place, he'll be in the right location anyway. So let's just let all of that glue down now for the time being, and then we'll come back and see what else is left to do. Okay then, right, I do believe that the crew is now very much stuck in place, as is the face and the smoke deflectors. Right, in the beginning we had 2 Flying Scotsmans, 4 tenders, a Trapmaster toy which kind of looks like that now. That didn't last long, and we had a spare body shell. We made the rather disgusting Flying Scotsman into Royal Lancer. Now, so that both myself and young Aiden can have the trains running, I believe that when I'm using them, I think I'm going to have our standard Ringfield Flying Scotsman there, and Royal Lancer. Ooh, I'll bring that into shot there. So we've got 4476 and 4472 doing their thing, right, on the layout. But as we showed at the beginning, just how easy it is to change the body shell. I'm not going to do anything with this one. This was Mr. Backup. I'll be honest with you, this was Mr. Backup if anything went wrong and everything went right. So, for the interests of this video, I am going to remove Royal Lancer's shell after we put it on at the beginning. So, no trickery here. So there's Royal Lancer's body shell, and to ensure that shell doesn't get damaged, I'm going to keep that in a separate box like it has been for so long. And what I'm going to do now is fit this rolling chassis, which rather interestingly, everything's all of the wiring components and everything are in absolutely great condition there. I'm now going to fit this chassis back on here to its original body, which we have, or rather I have, heavily modified now. So let's just get this screw in. Let's just hope it doesn't interfere with Scotsman's face. So there we go. Body, chassis, all reunited. We have vacuum brake pipe fitted and painted. We have Flying Scotsman's CGI face fitted to the front with smoke deflectors. We will ignore the fact that we don't have a double blast pipe chimney or a banjo dome. We have a painted crew in the rear now, and complete with its tender, we have our very own custom Flying Scotsman to run, or rather for Aidan to run with his Thomas and Friends collection. Now, this was part one. I will have heavily edited it down by the time you actually get to see it. And at the beginning, you remember we had these. This is going to be part two. This will come probably next week. This will be take a little bit longer to actually do, but probably will be quite a short video, because there's going to be a lot of cutting involved, and you're all going to be thinking, oh, well, he's going to cut that half and he's going to put that half like that, and then he's going to have two corridors. Well, you're right and you're wrong, because I also bought, and I bought two of these just in case. These are the actual spare parts for a corridor water tender coupling with the buffers. Okay, so as you can see there, we have our standard Flying Scotsman that we haven't had to butcher or touch at all in the end, but I will put a brake vacuum pipe on the front at some point. We'll just remove that body, put it to one side, and I shall bring into shot Aidan's now new custom Flying Scotsman. So you can see where we started and what we've ended up with there, and I don't think it looks too bad at all. So as usual, get into those comments and let me know all about whether you think I did the right thing rescuing this body and having that Royal Lancer body to put on here when it's not going to be used as a Thomas and Friends loco. So let's have a look inside the back there. Look, the crew are looking very smart and very happy in the back there. I will do a little video on painting them up, but that is basically it. Part two, hopefully I will get to you within the next week, and that will basically be building of the water tender to go behind it, and that will only be for when it's got this CGI face on. It'll not be for when I'm running it normally. It's just purely so that Aidan has a water tender. I've got the transfers and everything like that, but it might be delayed a little bit because I want to do it properly, and well, I'm amazed this came out as well as it did. So anyway, as normal, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please do comment, let me know what you think, whether you think keeping the spares, building this, all that sort of thing. Just let me know whether you think it was worth my time or your time. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel before, please do subscribe and keep up to date with every time I upload a video. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you again soon. Bye now.